This is stuff. A 1969 Chevrolet Chevelle, stripped of every soft edge and reborn as a wide-shouldered 650 horsepower Restomod by Hot Rods and Custom Stuff out of Escondido, California. Owner Bill Dickinson called it the car of his teenage dreams. What you are looking at is what the dream looked like after Randy Clark and Jeremy Shelton spent years redrawing it line by line. The paint is called Grayscale, PPG metallic black, laid down by Andy Meeh, dark enough to swallow a room and deep enough to mirror the floor under it. The drip rails are shaved, the rockers tucked, the diffusers integrated. From the side, it reads like a single forged piece of carbon fiber that someone happened to stamp a Chevelle into. Look at the details and you can feel the obsession. The hood was modified by hand and fitted with Goolsby Customs vents to feed the supercharger and let heat escape. The rear bumper hides full custom diffusers. The mirrors are billet aluminum sliced thin against the door. No ugly stalks, no factory cheap chrome. The taillights wear billet surrounds that wrap the lens like jewelry. Up front, the headlight buckets are color-matched and the grille is blacked out so the paint becomes the loudest thing on the car. And the wheels are Budnik Tungsten SKOs, 19 by 9 in the front, 20 by 12 in the rear, wrapped in Michelin Pilots and stuffed under tubs that were sectioned a full 4 inches in steel.
Now, lift the hood. This is a Supercharged LT4, the same engine you find in a C7 Z06, a Cadillac CTS-V, and a Camaro ZL1. 1.7 liters of Eaton blower sitting on top of an aluminum small block. 650 horsepower, plug and play, out of the crate. But nothing about the install is plug and play. Every line, every bracket, every hose has been routed and finished like a Swiss watch. The headers are RPM exhaust, custom-built 1 3/4-inch full-length tubes flowing into 3-inch pipes. Flowmaster mufflers, and tips that exit through cuts machined into the rear bumper. The alternator is tucked low. The battery sits in a finished steel box. The fuel rail wears a Magnuson cover, and the inner fenders look like they were poured, not bolted. The hood prop, the radiator, the wiper arms, the washer cap, every piece had to earn the right to stay. Step inside and the Chevelle disappears. The seats came out of an '89 Mustang, sectioned and reshaped and wrapped in black leather by Mangus Hot Rod Interiors in Rialto. The rear seats are stitched to match. Every panel is handmade. The steering wheel is a billet-center Budnik. The shifter is a 6-speed Tremec Super Magnum. Billet ball, polished surround, sitting on a console that looks machined out of a single block. Behind the wheel is an EVOD Industries billet aluminum cluster filled with Dakota Digital gauges. The HVAC is vintage Air SureFit, vented through more billet, controlled by billet switches. There is no plastic in this cabin. There is no factory anywhere. Out the back, the exhaust tips poke through machine cutouts in the bumper. The trunk floor was raised and reskinned in steel to clear the new chassis below. The whole car is bolted to a Roadster Shop complete rolling chassis with a Ford 9-inch independent rear, 370 gears, Brembo brakes with 14-inch rotors up front and 13 in the rear. From underneath this Chevelle, looks more like a McLaren than a muscle car. That is what the finished stuff looks like in the open air. Now let me show you what it took to get here. Bill rolled the donor into the shop, a faded blue numbers-matching driver, complete and rust-free, a survivor with a small block under the hood and a stock interior. From the rear, it still wore its yellow plate. Up close, you could see the original engine, the original hoses, the original alternator, the original wiring loom snaking down to the starter. Not bad. Honest. The kind of car a lot of guys would have polished and parked, taken to a few cruise nights, and called it a weekend driver. Bill and the HRCS team had a different idea. They put it on a lift, walked around it, photographed every panel, every weld,
every bolt that would soon disappear, and decided that almost nothing on the car was going to survive. The blue body was going to come apart from the moment it landed in Escondido. First the engine came out, then the trans, the rear, the bumpers, the trim, the glass, and the entire interior. The blue paint went next. Stripped down the bare metal, the Chevelle looked like a sketch of itself. On the rotisserie, the team started shaping new metal. The drip rails went away. The wheel arches were opened up and the tub sectioned in 4 inches of steel to swallow the new tires. The rear quarters were reworked to flow into a custom diffuser. New bodywork went onto the trunk lip, the hood, the door skins, the rockers. The cowl was reshaped. The lower valances were reprofiled. Every panel was massaged in primer, blocked, sprayed, blocked again, then mocked back onto the body and inspected under raking shop light until the whole shell was straighter, tighter, and more precise than it ever left the factory in 1969. Underneath, the original frame was set aside. In its place, a Roadster Shop complete chassis rolled in white powder coat, ready for a Ford 9-inch independent rear and Brembo brakes. The body was lowered onto it for a mock-up, wheels at all 4 corners, a fresh LT4 short block sitting in the bay where a small block used to live. Already, even in primer, the proportions had changed.
Then it went into paint. The shell got masked, primed, blocked, primed again. Every joint was taped, every gap was checked. The booth filled with light, and Andy Meeh laid down the grayscale color, coat after coat, then cleared it deep enough to drown in. When the body finally came out of the booth, it was a different car. Black, wet, heavy. The kind of finish that makes the inside of a paint booth feel like a cathedral, with a single car at the center.
Body back on the lift, wheels mocked up under the new arches. The rear finally sitting where the design called for. From the side, the new stance was unmistakable. Lower, longer, meaner than any factory car. From the rear, the diffuser, the bumper cuts, and the tucked exhaust tips lined up exactly the way the renderings had shown them, down to the millimeter. Even the gap above each tire, even the tuck of the rocker against the asphalt, came out exactly on plan, with no compromises along the way. Now the hard part. Wiring, plumbing, sealing. The trunk floor came up to meet the new chassis. New looms were run, every connector labeled, every harness clipped. The underside got green tape and black paint to seal the body against the road. Subassemblies were checked, double-checked, then bolted into place. Even another Chevelle from the same era stopped by the shop, parked next to stuff for a beat, almost a control sample, to remind everyone what a stock 6.9 actually looks like. From 100 feet away, you would not believe these 2 cars left the assembly line in the same model year. The interior went together last. The billet cluster was set into the dash, gauges were calibrated, and finally, stuff rolled out into the daylight for its first reveal. Blue painter's tape still on the door jambs. They had built a 650 horsepower hand-finished Grand Tourer. They called it Stuff. After everything you have just seen, the name fits perfectly. Thanks for watching.